All right. Happy Friday. I want to welcome everyone to this Friday's edition of the Clear Channel, KLEAR channel. If you're in our location, I know we have some people out here in the main training room or across the country. I see multiple offices jumping on today. First, my selfless plug on growing our channel. We started this channel 5 years ago. We have 1,000 plus videos. 100 plus entrepreneurs on our channel that they've shared their wisdom, their stories about their companies. And today is going to be an awesome one. I got my friend Evan on today. Evan, first of all, thanks for joining us today. Appreciate you taking the time.
100%. Absolute honor to be here. And yeah, definitely super excited to talk.
I love it. And so with that being said, if you're in our office right now, please, for all the senior people in our company, look to your right, look to your left, tell them to grab their cell phone, pull it out, go to YouTube, type in KLEAR channel, and please subscribe. I'm expecting everyone to be doing that right now. I can see you. Yep, I see you. Yeah, I'm just kidding. All right. So thank you for doing that, guys. Listen, our whole goal, our mission on this channel, our mission in general in our business is to help change the world one leader at a time. And we want to get things rocking. So Evan's from Indiana. He's from the Midwest. He's a Midwest boy. Grew up in sales and in the industry that we're in. And he'll tell a bit of that story in a minute. He currently runs his own company in Austin, Texas. Austin, that's a fun town. We've had some good times on. Is it 4th Street?
6th Street.
6th Street. I knew it's 6th Street. Yeah, it's man. We may get into that a little bit today. Just my younger days of 6th Street. But fun fact, he's been to 17 countries, which is awesome, and he's a serious scuba diver. So first of all, Evan, do you mind just for anyone that's joining us today or watches the video and social media later or YouTube channel later, just tell me about life. Tell me about upbringing. Tell me about family. Just to level set so people can get to know you.
Yeah, 100%. So I'm 34, and yeah, grew up in Carmel, Indiana. Had a very traditional Midwest upbringing. I was born in 1990, so I'm getting to the point now where there's a lot of people I hire that are like, you were born in 1990. So I'm starting to feel it a little bit, although I would still consider myself young. But yeah, my father is a peripheral vascular surgeon. So I grew up with a successful father, and he came from nothing. So I really learned work ethic and saw him kind of create a future and be able to provide a lot to me and my family. Got 2 brothers and a sister, so I was the baby growing up. And yeah, I had I definitely am very fortunate for the upbringing I had and the things that I was able to learn from my dad. And then originally, went to school in Carmel, and I ended up moving to North Carolina with my parents, and then ended up going to college in Florida for business and marketing.
Where'd you go to school?
University of Central Florida, UCF.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I have some really good high school buddies that went to UCF. It's like 50,000 students. It's a massive school, right?
Like one of the top 5 biggest schools per on-campus enrollment. Yeah, it's a huge
school. Yeah. Awesome. So go ahead. Sorry to cut you off. I didn't realize you went to UCF. That's awesome.
Yeah. And so, I got to live in a few different places. But yeah, I mean, very traditional. I've always been a big people person. So, through high school, worked a lot of restaurant jobs, always kind of been people facing, and then got into college, like bartending. I've just always felt very comfortable talking to people, kind of the type of person that could talk to a brick wall. Matter of fact, when I was young, I have a very clear memory of like my dad or mom buying a car, and for some reason, I don't know, it might have been 10 or 11, but I jumped in, and that was the first time somebody told me that hey, you should get into sales when you're older. And then various times throughout my early young adult life, I was told that. And so took that advice, and after college, got into sales and did a lot of different things, and fell in love with it and being able to help people and problem solve. And then, ultimately found my way to getting to the point where I am now and opening the company up and loving life.
Love it. So tell me, before you fell into sales, tell me about life and childhood. Do you ever have any challenges? Obviously, it sounds like your dad is a super successful business person. What was young Evan like? Was he a troublemaker? Was he in sports? What was he? What was he about?
Yeah, for sure. So growing up, definitely played sports. My brothers, which I know something is you're really big into. My brothers played soccer, travel soccer for. I mean, I grew up watching them play soccer forever. They started on the our high school that we went to in Carmel, Indiana, is like 23 years in a row state champions. It's a massive school. It's a whole sports
Wow.
dynasty. Yeah, my brothers were way more competitive, but I did play a lot of sports growing up. Um, Ultimately, one of the like biggest things I realized that I didn't realize then that I realize now that was like a big lesson I learned. My dad worked a lot. I mean, he was a surgeon. He was on call, so he worked 80-hour weeks a lot of the time, and so he was very very involved. Like my dad's probably the most influential person in my life in a sense that just the lessons that I've learned and the effort that he's put into me. That being said, I did not understand when I was younger. He was like working a lot, but now I understand that if you want certain things in life, like there's investments and there's trade offs, right? And so now looking back, I realized that I had a very privileged upbringing and got to just get certified to scuba dive, and me and my dad got to go to all these countries. And at the time, it's just like, oh, this is cool. Now I realize like that stuff costs a lot of money and there's a lot of like things that go into that. And so now I
That's
learned.
not free scuba diving off the
Yeah,
coast of Africa. Like, I
yeah,
mean,
for
what?
sure. So what I realized is that if I want certain things and I want a certain lifestyle, then that's going to come with being having to put in a certain amount of work. What I will say too, though, is I had this kind of uh, expectation to live up to. So my brothers and sister, I won't get into, but they kind of struggled with different things and went down a different path. And so I was supposed to be the baby. I'm going to be the perfect child that's going to grow up and be a doctor just like dad. And I won't get into a lot of specifics, but in my young 20s and through college, like I just got um, I got involved in like just really troubled young and dumb, and in college hung out with the wrong people and got into some trouble and made bad decisions, and things that I'm not honestly proud of. And looking back at it now, I think it was this pressure of feeling like I needed to do a certain thing, go a certain way, and then feeling like afflicted for whatever reason, almost like self sabotage. Like everybody has all these expectations for me, so like watch me mess this up, and whether it was like attention seeking, I don't really know, but either way, I do know that I made bad decisions and things I'm not proud of. That in the moment, lost a lot of like people lost a lot of faith or a lot of like, oh man, like, yeah, he's not gonna go on to do these things. And in the moment going through that part of my life, like I did feel like I, the victim mentality that, oh, well, everything's over now. There's no point, or I'm never going to be able to do this or do that. But now looking back is the probably single biggest impact because, the one way in which I would like really describe myself is resilient, and I've through different struggles and through different adversities, some of them that I've put myself into, I was able to really build a mentality and conquer like more of the victim mindset, and it's helped me so much in running a business and in helping develop other people. Is just having that perspective that if I didn't go through those things, I wouldn't have. So yeah, my childhood and like young adult life, there was so many lessons that I took away that now are have made me who I am and got me to where I'm at. So I'm very grateful for it at this point.
Yeah, it's such a great way to look at it, right? I think oftentimes people have this thing that stuff happens to them. Maybe it's through their own choices, their bad choices, whatever, and our young adulthood and college and alcohol and all the other things that can happen in young adulthood, right?
Yeah.
And then you can either have a woe's me or you can learn from it and understand, hey, there's no judgment, that people make mistakes, and all right, putting that part of my life aside, I want to grow. I want to be a certain type of person, be a certain type of success in life, and make a difference in others. So good for you. So you, out of school, how long until you fell into the industry of sales, the industry of business?
Yeah, yeah. So all through like college, again, did like bartending, things like that. And then I got into sales and started off actually first like sales I got into was door to door sales,
Oh, wow.
which yeah, which I learned a lot through that. And really, again, kind of like I think everything, in my opinion, success is really like all mentality, is all mindset and all perspective. And so I gained a lot of perspective. I won't lie too. Another thing, which I have two children at this point as well. So I realized that because of my upbringing, and I just saw my dad successful, I did when I was in my young 20s have this air about me that I thought that just somehow I was just going to be successful. Like I was just going to,
It's
you know,
just going to work.
when I grow up, like I'll be rich, like of course. And so I won't lie, like I did work. I got into sales in my mid 20s, and then I'd go back to restaurants and kind of just played this game. I wasn't really intentional with what I was doing, because I just thought that like somehow things were going to work out. And what I realized is that like nobody was coming to save me. Dad is not going to save me my whole life. And that if I want certain things, like there is no avoiding the work. And so at 28, which still young, but also compared to even a lot of the people that I employ now is much older. But it was I waited till I was 28 years old to really get serious about my life and really like come to the realization that nothing is going to change unless I change, and unless I start to do things differently and think about things differently. And so very grateful. 28, I found our industry, and was just kind of at that point where I realized that like it's on me and I'm gonna have to start making different decisions. And then cool with that realization, I just committed to developing myself, to really getting serious about my routines, my habits, my thought process, my actions. And then yeah, by the time I was 30, was able to actually open up my own company, and it's just been a continuous journey from there.
I love it. I love it. There's an old saying, you do what you've always done, you're going to get what you've always gotten.
Yep, it's a fact. Yeah.
All right. So tell me, so in sales, right? Obviously, there's a lot of people that are in organization and others that watch this channel. Tip, if I'm new in sales, I want to get great at it, one or two things: do this, do that, don't do this, don't do that. What would you say?
Sell it, don't tell it. I'm huge on tonality, right? And there's a lot of different sales industries, and typically most sales jobs are going to have some sort of pitch, right? Some sort of proven that, like, the structure to the conversation and things like that. But there's in my opinion, the difference between a great salesperson and a average is just tonality, is the way you make people feel, and the way in which you convey the words that you're saying. So, if, at any sales job, and not even sales for that matter, but in anything, even customer service, like I can just, say what I'm supposed to say, or I can really deliver what I'm supposed to say, which is a body language, it's facial expressions, it's voice fluctuation. And that's something that you can master really over a lifetime. But yeah, if somebody's getting into sales, like a big tip would be like I used to record myself. I would literally set my phone up and record myself pitching so I could watch what I looked like and hear what I sound like. And sometimes it was cringe, like, oh my gosh, like it does not sound
It
like that.
really sound like.
I'm
Well, I
just
will
saying.
tell you, when back in the day, when you hear yourself in a voicemail or something, you're like, "Do I
Yeah,
really sound like that?" So I mean, you can be a
yeah,
little judgmental of yourself.
for sure. But yeah, I just think is mastering, because I heard a quote, forget what it is, but it was like average salespeople, sell benefits. Great salespeople sell outcomes, and like the best salespeople sell feelings. And it's the way that somebody
Mm,
feels, walking away from the conversation with you. And that is all through the energy and the emotion that you give and the tonality.
right.
So like really taking that seriously.
Love it. So, and then beyond the sales, there's this idea of leadership, mentorship. You run your own business, and you're, how old are you now?
34.
34. Such a youngin.
Yeah.
So you run your own business for 4 or 5 years now. obviously in running a business, you wear a lot of different hats. There's the financial hat. There's the leadership hat of training. There's your own hat to make sure you as the owner, right? There's a saying, where you go as a CEO in your mind is where your business goes next, right? So there's so many different things: managing stress, managing people, financial up and down. That's building companies. Leadership wise, what's a aha moment or something you've learned as a leader?
Yes. Well, I mean, there's the forever saying, right? Lead by example. I think everything starts with me and with the leader. So if I'm not right, right? Because again, as a leader, like by definition, you are leading people, right? And so if you aren't right, you can't help get somebody else right. And the times that I've noticed, to your point, that if my mind is off, or if my habits are off, or if I'm not in the right place, yes, my business will tend to follow that and in a negative direction if I'm in a, not doing the things I do. But what I also have learned is that when I focus on me first and get myself right, everything just magically seems to get much better. So I've really learned how
And you
important
make a
it
lot
is.
more money.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, you do a lot better, and so do the people around you, right?
Yeah, without question. And so, in the business that I operate is big on development and big on leadership and developing people into that. And so, what I've realized is that there's a lot of people that are just very not intentional. So, what I say all the time is like, people come in just waking up, letting life happen, and hoping today's going to be great, hoping it's going to, just leaving a lot to hope, versus waking up and happening to life and making sure things happen. And it's just a different intention and a different energy. I'm going to wake up and happen to life. I'm not going to let life happen to me. And so one of the biggest things that I focus on is with people is on habits and things like morning routines and working, because people, whatever their mindset is, they've typically been in that mindset their whole life, or at least for years, and it's not going to just magically change. And everybody wants to be successful, which what I found for most people means financial freedom and freedom of time. And so everybody, if I ask somebody, what do you want 10 years from now? They all have this grandiose idea of what their life would be like, but that doesn't just happen. We have to take actions towards that. And so starting small with just my daily disciplines and habits is something that I lead by example in and teach. And then once somebody gets on those things, it really opens the door for them to grow in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I think we were in a call recently, and I don't, and maybe it was what I learned from you is the first step you take, and keep me honest here. The first step you take when you have a young leader, someone new in a role in your company, is you sit with them and you really review their habits. You start with their day to day and what their plans are and how they look at their day, how they have their morning routine. So that before you even get into business,
Yeah.
is that accurate? Is that our conversation? I feel like I've had like 15 this week.
Yes, no, 100%. So
Yeah.
I
Okay.
focus
Okay.
on a body, mind, and spirit. So if
Right.
somebody really in my company shows, interest in leadership and they really want to grow, then yeah, the first thing, because again, if I'm looking to get them into a leadership role where they're going to be responsible for other people, then that's a big role, right? Something that takes seriously. And so getting them, like, say, that's the first step is I'll sit down with them and it's like, hey, if your habits are right, and which is the truth, but how I paint the picture to them is that if you're going to have people looking up to you, right, then I need to, as the owner of this company, make sure that you're a good example, because in any company, we want to replicate, winning traits and things that are going to help continue for the employee's success and the company's success. And so if we can sit down and develop a routine in which you show up to work every day as the best version of yourself, because we all have life drama, we all have stressors, we all have things. And if I wake up under that stress and I show up with that stress, I'm not going to be able to execute at the same level that I could thinking from a more positive headspace and of feeling in a more powerful, in control state. And so many people suffer with anxiety, I feel like, but anxiety is like really just a lack of control. So teaching somebody how to gain control over their schedule, gain control over their habits, gain control over their thinking, really, like, not only helps them in a professional sense, but in a
Yeah.
personal sense,
Life.
it's massive. Yeah.
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 So when did I come visit you? I know I flew into town a year or two ago.
Yeah, I was
When
gonna say
was
maybe a
that?
year and a half, 2 years ago, something like that.
Okay, roughly 2 years ago.
A lot of fun.
And I happened to fly into town, like I do every so often, to see a soccer game for a night or two. And I forget who else was with me on that trip, but we went to see the U.S. game that night. What did we go
Yes.
see?
Yes. I have a funny story, by the way, about that.
Yeah, go ahead, share it. Is it PG rated?
So yes, so yeah, we went and saw the U.S. game, which was awesome, and I really appreciated the invite. And if
Yeah,
you recall, out of the graciousness of your heart, you got me a Pulisic jersey,
I did. I did. I remember that.
and so I still wear that all the time. Funny enough, literally just like 3 months ago, I was maybe even less than that. I was at a restaurant here in Austin, and I was wearing the Pulisic jersey, and there was this family sitting next to us, and they didn't speak like like very little English. And so I got up and was getting up from the table. I had my daughters with me, and the father or the gentleman at the table was like, I could tell he was talking about my jersey, and I was like, yeah, yeah. And he's like, like USA, and I was like, yeah, for sure. So we had a little communication barrier, but then I realized that like he was like pointing like at me, and I was like, yeah, like USA, like awesome. And then he asked to take a picture with me, and come to find out, he thought I was Pulisic. He thought that I was like actually and so he like wanted to take a picture, and he was like telling his family that like I play for USA, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is awkward, but it was really funny. So I guess I'm
You're like,
professional.
sure, sure. That's awesome. That's awesome. And to be fair, when we after the game, we obviously sat in the hotel. I think I remember afterwards. It was like 11, 12 at night, and to be fair, the business wasn't doing great,
Mm-hmm.
right? You're in a kind of a tough spot.
Yeah.
Now, from not and it wasn't that conversation, but I think the decisions and habits and the people in your world, and then something clicked, something really changed, and as we've talked, that was like one of the moments among that time of building your business. Since then, your business has done close to $3 million in revenue.
Yeah.
Right, a million, million and a half million. You're on pace this year for another million, million and a half. Like that's life changing, right?
Yeah.
You've since, I believe, bought a home.
Yeah. Just bought a
Right?
new car.
Bought a new. I mean, things, and the girls are in now a better situation. Life has changed, which is amazing.
100%.
What did you change? What can people learn from that? Right? What were you not doing? What was like getting in the way? And what is changed in a positive?
Yeah, I think a big thing, especially for any leader, I think it's really important, and I think the people that follow you or look up to you really respect the trait in a leader of being able to be vulnerable and be authentic, and to take personal accountability. So I'm not perfect, and I'm not always right, and I can admit when I'm wrong, and I can like own up to that. Um, and yeah, and I'm human, and so I think like some leaders feel like they can't have to be perfect or have to act like they always know everything or whatever, and I just don't think that that's the right way. I think people respect the leader that can say, hey, like, you know what, this is what it was, I was struggling, I needed to get better, and like, cool, but now I'm committed to that. And I think that's one of the best examples you could show, because yeah, not everything's going to go the way you want, and you're not always going to be perfect, but it's the ability to persevere and get better and learn lessons. That if I can show my team that, my employees that, then that's a great example to set. So, but yeah, side note, basically, this is back to my like childhood again, like the resilience that I had developed through things in my young 20s, is this massively helped me in business, because at that time that you came, I think it's a lot of different things. But I think the main factor was I just lost a little bit of like the vision for myself, and I lost a little bit of belief in myself. Business has ebbs and flows, and I was also, still, only a couple years into trying to build a company, and also had two, very young children, and just a lot of things. And I took my eye
Trying to
off the
balance
market.
that world and business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, to what we've been talking about, I just let a lot of my habits go. I wasn't in the gym as consistently. I wasn't being as intentional with things. And then kind of fell into this, it's easy to delude yourself into thinking that it's not you, and that it's, get it. I started to see some of this like, victim thinking come back into my brain, or just a lack of self belief. And so whether, you coming out was very, very like helpful, just kind of talking and sharing. But the main thing that I had to kind of come to myself was just acceptance and self accountability, that like, hey, like if I were doing the right things, I would be getting a different result. And it's really on nobody but me. And also being able to take a step back for a second and just be like, one, like proud of myself, stop beating myself up, and hey, if I've gotten here, then I can get there. And like, let me just go back to the things that I know worked. And so again, like, it's going to sound simple, but what I focused on was getting myself right again. So I started going back to the gym. Now I'm like, just did I don't know if anybody knows High Rocks. I just did a sports, it's like a big fitness competition. I'm doing another one in September. But anyways, I got back in the gym consistently. I got back to setting goals daily. I got back to reading books and, really planning my week, and just started focusing on the simple things that I can control on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Got way more intentional with my time management and identifying what my priorities are and scheduling my schedule around that. And then I identified the non-negotiables that I was not willing to tolerate anymore in my company, from myself or from anybody else. And that, hey, whatever's happened previous to this doesn't matter. I don't care about. From today forward, this is what I'm committing to. This is what you're going to get from me. And anybody that is down to go on that journey with me, this is the expectation. And for the people, and like, together, here's where we're going to go. And then at that point, execute. And then
Love
guess
it.
what? It all worked out.
Love it. And with that being said, so tell us now, life. What's changed because of it? I know we're coming up on our time. I know you had about a 30-minute window, and thank you so much for jumping on today.
Yeah.
What's changed in life? All that self-reflection, all that humbleness of looking in the mirror. That's the hardest part, I think, for anyone, is to put their ego in their back pocket,
Yeah.
actually move forward and do the things they got to do. So tell me, what are the wins that come from that?
100%. So yeah, being willing to do those things, being willing to roll my sleeves up and do the work, yeah, has changed quite a bit. So I mean, at this point, as you said, the company has grown massively. Yeah, we're on, $3 million in revenue in 2 years. Have been able, through that example and through that effort, have been able to develop a lot of leaders and help a lot of people. At this point, my company has been able to open up other locations as well. So the goal of any business is to scale and grow and continue to provide more value to the marketplace. So we've been able to do that. Personally, yeah, my kids go to an awesome private school now that is not super cheap. Just bought a brand new Lexus GX 550, got a new house. And but the biggest thing, like, yeah, there's been travel, there's been all sorts of stuff personally, but the thing that I've loved to see most is just how the company has thrived and how the people in the company has thrived, and being able to really sit back and now having that whole journey and just being able to be proud of not only myself but the team around me, and just the leaps and bounds that we've made in such a short period of time is just a really, really cool feeling that I would love for everybody to get to experience. So
I agree. I agree. Well, listen, you should be very proud, man. I know. I I love seeing friends do well, right? And the fact that the girls are going to be positioned as you continue to do what you got to do, and continue to stay the course and do the things you got to do over time, 10, 15, 20 years, is how you build, what you want to have for your family. So that's amazing. Any final thoughts? And thanks so much for jumping on today. It's been awesome.
yes, no, again, thank you for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure. Yeah, final thoughts. I would say that no matter where somebody is, whether you're in sales, whether you're in leadership, if you just start to be more intentional with the daily actions that you have, and you just put the work in, that even if things don't seem like they are where you want them to be right now, like, those moments are typically the most impactful, because as long as you keep doing the right things and you stay intentional, you will overcome. And the confidence you build through that is what levels you up to be able to go on and do bigger and better things. And then if things are going great where you are right now, then it's just staying with those basics and continuing to do it. If you work hard enough, long enough, anything is possible. So just intention and stay the course.
Love it. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. And again, if you're watching the channel, whether you're doing it live today or you're going to watch us on the YouTube channel, you can find us on YouTube. Obviously, we're all over, the TikToks in the social media world. But please subscribe. We'll see you guys next time. Thank you for joining us today. Happy Friday.